Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So today we are going to play around with the March Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is called Memorable Meadows. So this is what the kit looks like. And there were 9 different cards, so 3 of each of the 3 different designs. But you guys know me, I didn't create any of them actually this time. This time I cut apart all the supplies and I created, actually, I have about 30 cards from this particular kit. So I'm going to share a variety of different designs with you today. I have 12 different designs in particular. But I'll give you a couple different alternate ideas for the kit. And then there was also an additional stamp set in this particular kit. So I'll give you some fun ways to use that stamp set. So this is actually the stamp set from the kit. So this is the one that you can use to create the kit projects. And then this is the artwork for the stamp set, the extra one that came in the kit. So as you can see, I have a couple different card ideas here that feature that extra stamp set, and then some cards that feature uh, the paper pumpkin, what do I want to say? Supplies. So, all right, so we're going to jump right in and we are going to get started here with these cards. So I'm going to set these cards aside and we'll come back to those in a little bit. And I'm going to start out, actually, we can start out with these cards. So the particular kit had all these different scenes in it. So it had all the card bases had like different scenes like this tree and then the little daisies here and some other things. So I cut apart the card bases, all of them. So there were what, 9 cards? So that gave me 18 pieces here because these are actually the card bases are printed front and back. So you had designs on the front and the back of the card bases that you could use, um, in additional card making. So you could make way more than 9 cards. But we'll start out with this one. So let me grab my stuff here. And so basically, this was the card base, and this is what was on the front and the back of the card base. So I just cut it off. I basically cut across the score line so that I ended up with a 5.5 by 4.25 inch piece of the card base. So I had 2 of them, so I could make, these cards here. So I'm gonna set this aside for a minute. So what I did is I actually just I created this angled piece for these cards. So this is the angled piece here. So I created 2 angled pieces from one of these card bases. So I basically just measured in 2 inches on the top and just made a little mark. And then I did the same thing on the bottom. We'll just let's measure in 2 and make a little mark down on the bottom. I should make it a little bigger so I can see it, hopefully. I'm gonna lose my mark. There it is. All right, and then what I did is put it in my paper trimmer, and then I just made an angle cut from this mark here to this mark up here. So hopefully I did that right. There it is. So it gives you 2 little angled pieces that you can use to create 2 different cards. So that's what I did with all of these pieces that had the daisy. Well, not all of them, a couple of them that had the daisies on it. So now it's just a matter of adhering them to a card base. I actually have 2 card bases that are white, and I embossed them with just one of those online exclusive embossing folders. I think this was called the Basics 3D embossing folders. So I just embossed the card front, and I'm just going to adhere this one to this piece here. Just got to get some glue going here. Good morning, everybody. So basically, I just put this on here. And then in the kit, there were a variety of different die cut shapes, and I just used the little ink spot that was in there, or the color, I should say. So it's garden green. That's the little ink spot we got in this month's kit. And then I just added my little greeting on here, a little bit of twine, and then I added some of the embellishments that came in the kit. So that's how easy that is to create that. So I'm just going to set this aside for the moment. We're going to make the other one really quick. Same thing, I have the same card base, except instead of putting it on here in portrait style, I just changed the direction here. And I think I forgot to cut my piece. That's what happens when you're not here every week. You forget things. But I do have to say my little pup is doing much better than she was last week. So basically, we're just going to add this piece, and I added it right in the middle. And I'm just going to see if I have a little, let's see if I have a big enough piece. I don't. Maybe this one's big enough. Let me cut this one quick. So I'm basically just cutting a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of some Highland heather, and I'm just going to put it right next to it, right next to this piece. So it just kind of brings out the purple a little bit more in this paper. And then I just added, that little greeting again, same greeting. Now, the card base, like I said, had front and back. So if you decide to use this design, and you cut apart one of the card bases, if you just cut apart one, you can create 4 cards like this, because the front of the card base created these 2 pieces, excuse me, these 2 pieces, and then you'll have the back of the card base where you can create 2 more. So if you like this design, then you can create a lot more cards than just 2, simply by cutting apart the card base. All right, so let me move some of this stuff out of the way here. So those are the first 2 cards. And then I'll show you some other cards that I created. These are some other cards that I created with that daisy card base. And I'll put all the measurements out on my blog for you, but I really just want to kind of share these projects with you first before I give you all the measurements. But just another fun way to kind of use up the card bases. And I like this little panel design because it kind of looks like a little window. So that's another one. And then here is another design. For these, I actually took one large, piece, so the 5.5 by 4 1/4 inch card base, and I just cut a decorative shape right out of the center. And then I adhered the piece to a piece of pretty peacock cardstock. And then I just stamped a little greeting and put it on the inside. So this is a very easy one to create. But you can take that little piece that you cut out and put it on another card and create another card with it. So you have quite a few different ways that you can use, just that daisy design, just the daisy card bases that are in the kit. So I really am partial to daisies. So I really had fun with that. So those are 6 different ways you can use just that daisy design. But in the kit, there were a couple other designs. So I'm going to show you those right away before I show you this next card. So in the kit, it came with several different wooden pieces, these little wooden pieces. And so I decided to color my wooden pieces. You can use them just as they are, but I decided to add a little bit of color and just kind of change out the design a little bit. So these are the different card bases, the fronts or the backs. And I just basically, for these, I just cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. And then here I created another one of those kind of window or panel cards, and I tucked a colored wooden piece in there. And then this one is just a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece. I just cut the card base down a little bit and adhered it to Mossy Meadow. And then these are garden green card bases. So by doing that, I created, three of each of these different designs with these card bases. So you can do it with or without the bow. And this is the one I'm going to show you how to make. You can um, just embellish it with these little embellishments that came in, or you can add a little bow to this. But I'm going to show you how to make this one. Actually, I'm going to show you how to color the little tree. So I just used my Stampin' Blends. I used the dark pecan, and then I used the light Mossy Meadow to color this tree. And it's pretty easy to color it. So I recommend just kind of going on an angle with your Stampin' Blend. Because sometimes when you color stuff like this, like if you color embellishments or if you color things like this, you can tear the end of your Stampin' Blend. So try to color lightly on an angle, and you basically can add as much green as you want. So I'm just going to go over this once, but you could go over it again if you wanted a darker tree. And these little wooden elements are pretty thin, so they're probably just a little bit bigger than a dimensional. So I know people always wonder, oh, are these really going to go through the mail? Mine go through the mail just fine, as long as they're thin like this. So, all right. So that's what I did. I colored that in the green, and then we'll add a little bit of brown down here. And that's our tree. So I just thought it was kind of fun to color it, so it kind of blended in with what I was using. So let's get this over here. So I just cut a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock for the base of the card. And then I took one of the card bases, like I mentioned. So this was the back side, I believe. And I just cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. And we'll put this right on the card front here. And then I did just a little bit of heat embossing on a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. So I used one of the greetings from the Paper Pumpkin kit. And I just laid out my tree kind of where I wanted it. And then we'll go ahead and just glue it on. It glues on really easy. So I know I want my tree right about here. And then this little greeting is just going to go right across the bottom, just kind of cover up the trunk of the tree. So let's add some dimensionals here. So we'll add it on. So that's how you know that, or that's how I know that this tree is pretty much the same size as these dimensionals, because this is going to go right across this tree. And you won't have a big bowed area. So it's a pretty thin element. And then you can just add, whatever embellishments you want. But I thought it was kind of just a fun way to use those little wooden elements that were in the kit. All right, so we'll put that to the side. Oops, put that over there. And then these last couple of card ideas that I'm going to share with you feature the extra stamp set that came in the kit. So we got this fun little daisy stamp set that had a variety of different images in it. And so this is the card I'm going to show you how to make. And I'm actually going to stamp the inside first. So basically I stamped some daisies on the inside. But for the purpose of the video, I did stamp some daisies on a scrap piece of white cardstock, and then I colored them in. You know, I have colored this all in and then cut it out. So for sake of time, I'm just going to show you how I did that on the inside of the card, because the images that are in this particular set enable you to just stamp all the colors, so you don't actually have to color it in with coloring tools. So I have some early espresso ink, and I'm basically just going to ink up this big daisy image. And then we'll just stamp this off in the corner here. I'll stamp it up so you get a little bit off the side. There we go. So that's the early espresso. And then to add the color, I just used some soft seafoam because I wanted my leaves to be just a little bit lighter. I didn't want them super dark. So I used some soft seafoam for the leaves. And then I used Daffodil Delight for the daisies themselves. And there's a little overlay image in this stamp set. So you can just ink that up and overlay your daisies. Then you have your color. And then we'll do the same thing with the leaves. So there's a nice set of leaves here that of course match up with the image, and you just overlay those. And then you can add your color. So it was a really fun little set that we got in this kit. And then for the centers, I'm going to go back to the early espresso. And I actually laid out these two little centers. I laid them out on an image and picked them up so that I have them already perfectly aligned here. So I just need to ink this up and just stamp it. All right, so that's the inside of the card. And we'll move this out of the way here. Oops. Let's grab my bone folder. So that's the inside of the card, and that's basically how I stamped all the daisies for the cards that I'm going to share with you. All right, so this next part, I basically, like I said, I stamped this and then I just cut it out. And so I'm going to pop it up with dimensionals and put it right in the center here. So this is just going to go right about here, I guess. And then there's a little splatter image in that stamp set, that extra stamp set. So I just added a little bit of splatter. Let's do it over here. And then a little bit over here. And then I just used some scrap pieces of designer paper that I had. So let's see, this piece was 1 by 3 3/4 inches. So this is just going to go right over the top of that. And then I have a little piece of crushed curry, which is 3/4 inches wide by 2.5 inches long. And then I have my little 1/2 by, it's about 3 1/8 inches of white cardstock, and that's what I put my greeting on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is just the greeting from the paper pumpkin kit, one of them. And now we can go ahead and assemble this. All right, so we're going to put the greeting right in the center here. And then for this piece, I just popped it up with some dimensionals. So let's go ahead and add those. And we'll add this right here. And then we'll just add our little greeting. So it's a pretty simple card, and you can make it any color you want. I just kind of went with the yellows and the greens here. And that is our little daisy card. Actually, I kind of made them into sunflowers. All right, let me show you some of the other ones that I created with this. Let's get this out of the way here. So I just used, I think this is the Regal's Designer Series paper pack. So this is like the darker yellow, the crushed curry. So that's what I used for this card. And then I added a little bit of early espresso. I'm actually using, if you're wondering what dyes I'm using these thoughtful expression dies. So there's some fun dies in here that you can use. So that's what I used to create that little focal point. And then here's just another one. So there's 4 different designs that I created with the extra stamp set. And then here I decided to use up those larger leaf elements in the kit. So these are the wooden leaves, and I just, again, colored them with that mossy meadow and then just kind of tucked them behind the flowers and created kind of the same style as this first card that I showed you with the big piece of designer paper on there. So I had a lot of fun with the kit. There's lots and lots of different things that you can do with this kit. And like I said, by the time I got done, I still have 3 pieces of the kit of the card bases, these card bases. Let me grab them. I still have 3 of these left that I have to create with. So by the time I'm done, I'll have over 30 cards that I was able to create with the supplies from the kit and then with the extra stamp set. So it was super fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video and just some alternate ways that you can use the kit. I really look forward to the kit coming every month just because it gives me an opportunity to just play around with a set of supplies. I like receiving like a box of supplies that I can get creative with. So I have the choice to create the projects that they send me or just kind of play around with it and create additional projects, just adding my own supplies. So, all right. So if you are not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can learn more about it by clicking on the links that I featured in the description with this video. It's we typically get a little bit of a sneak peek, but for the most part, the projects when they come are a complete surprise. We may have an idea of the theme, but we don't know what kind of projects we're going to get. So it's kind of fun. All right. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a great rest of your week. And I won't be live next week because it is Easter Sunday. So I hope you all have a very blessed Easter. And I will see you all again then in about 2 weeks. So take care, everybody.